Hey, how's it going, fight fans? Welcome to mindforcombat. If you're new to the channel, my name's Rohan. It's my platform where I do fight sports related content. So if you're new here, why don't you help me grow my platform? All you have to do is subscribe to the channel, like the video if you like it, maybe hit that bell icon so you get notified every time I upload a video. With that said, in this video I'll be doing a fantasy fight breakdown of two of my very favourite female fighters in all of mixed martial arts. That's UFC's Weili Zhang or Zhang Weili versus One Championship's Angela Lee. Now both these ladies hold titles at 115. It should be noted though that the weight cutting policies in One Championship mean that Angela Lee, if she was to ever fight on US shores, is probably more of an atom weight than a 115 fighter. But it's still a very interesting fight, and a fight that I think proposes a lot of questions. And as big advocate for cross promotions between these promotions in mixed martial arts, there's so many fights I want to see. I would have loved to have seen Ryan Bader versus Onglan Sang when they were both double champs. Obviously at the time of recording the video, Ryan Bader's been knocked out by Vadim Nemkov, so that's happened. And there's tons of big fights out there that I would really have enjoyed seeing. Martin Nguyen versus one of the UFC's guys, or even mixing up Bellator and One Championship, Bellator and UFC, seeing Douglas Lima versus Kamaru Usman, all great fights. So on this platform I can play around with it a bit and I can do a fantasy fight breakdown, and this is one that I would love to see. So when you're looking at this fight, there's a couple of considerations. Firstly, this will be humongous in Asia. I have no doubt that this will sell out arenas and break records on TV, but this will also be a very important fight in the history of that continent, because these are two fighters that are very well respected world champions that both held titles or hold titles in major mixed martial arts promotions. These are not regional champions. This is UFC and One Championship, two huge platforms that are absolutely, have incredible reaches. So if these two was to ever get matched up, this will no doubt be a humongous fight for Asia, and it's very, very appealing to. In Zhang Weili, you got a former, Sanda and kickboxing champion who's represented the country of China very, very well over the years, and she's done so many great things in the game already. And she's still young and she's still progressing. Angela Lee is a very, very young fighter. She's 7 years younger than Zhang Weili, so the best years of her career are arguably ahead of her, especially as she recovers more and more and distances herself more and more from that horrible car accident that she was in. And she's definitely started to find her mojo again, rebounding from her 2 losses and revenge in one of her previous losses at 125, which she probably shouldn't have been fighting at anyways. But anyways, without further ado, let's go into the fight. Let's break this one down. So Zhang Weili is 31 years old. That makes her 7 years older than Angela Lee, who's 24 years old. So whilst Angela Lee is quite a bit younger than Zhang Weili or Weili Zhang, whichever way around it is, I think it's important to note that both of these ladies are in their prime. So if this fight was to play out now, I don't think age would be a factor in this. And actually, if anything, it would be a factor for Angela Lee, because she's still inexperienced in the game, as I only had 12 fights, so she's still got time to grow, develop and learn mixed martial arts before she would be matched up with a monstrous fighter like Zhang Weili. But it's still very, very interesting to think about. Weili Zhang has a record of 21-1, and she would be fighting Angela Lee, who has a professional record of 10 wins and 2 losses. So you see a big advantage there in Weili Zhang's record. She's had a lot more fights, about 9 more fights since she's been fighting at UFC level. She's obviously got tons and tons of kickboxing experience. But Angela Lee's been in world championship fights for a long time now, guys. She's fought for One Championship since practically the beginning of her career, and I believe she won a title like 7 fights into her career. So this is a fighter that's been fighting purely world championship fights for a few years now. So this isn't someone that's going to be shy to 5-round fights or the big audiences or any of the above. They both stand at 5'4", and Zhang Weili has a reach of 63 inches. Angela Lee would have a reach of, it's kind of hard to find really, but having looked at her frame and the way she fights and the distance that she fights at, I would be confident in saying that it's no more than 65 inches her reach. So I would give her a tiny bit of reach advantage, but I don't think it'll make any difference at all, because it'll be very insignificant. Zhang has a very Muay Thai heavy style. She's obviously very, very strong. She likes to exchange, get into the pocket and throw big punches. She's got a Sanda background, but I would describe her fighting style more as Muay Thai really, when you see the way she mixes up kicks, knees, elbows, punches. And Angela Lee, she's got a very mixed style as well really. She's got good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and she's got good submissions, but I think she's really good on the feet. She's got a first-degree black belt in Taekwondo, and I think her kicks are a very, very underutilized aspect of her game, even though she does use them. I think she's a very, very talented striker, and I think that's where she really shines. When you're looking at their key wins, obviously for Zhang, you've got the likes of Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who's one of the greatest fighters of all time in the women's realm anyway, and then she beat Jessica Andrade, one of the most experienced women's fighters in the UFC. who's a former world champion. So those are two incredible wins. For Angela Lee, there's nothing really major. She's obviously beaten Zhang Nang, however you pronounce that name, but she's beaten her. She's won one championship title. She hasn't fought scrubs, but the level of talent in one championship at 115 women's is just not comparable to that of the UFCs. And you have to be honest, I'm a huge one championship fan and advocate. Anyone that follows my channel knows that I've been telling you guys to watch one championship since the beginning of this channel, but you have to be honest there about some of those things. The issues for Zhang that I'm going to see in this fight is that she's too happy to trade in the pocket and get hit to land her shots. You saw that in the Joanna Jędrzejczyk fight. Those fights are great to watch as a fan, but it does expose your game a little bit to your opponents. And I think if she was to allow herself to get cold clocked like that many times by someone like Angela Lee, who would be putting her shin across her face, and I think hits harder than Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Not saying she's better, but I think she hits harder. I think she'll find herself in a lot of trouble there, to be honest with you guys, especially considering that Angela Lee's probably going to enjoy her advantage on the ground. For Angela Lee, the biggest issue I'm going to see in this fight for her is going to be her size. She's a natural atom weight, and I don't think she'll have the strength to hold Zhang off her or be able to take Zhang down. Even if she's a better grappler, I don't think she'll be able to utilize it that well. The X factor for Zhang is going to be her size and her power, definitely on the back of Angela Lee's biggest issue. And the X factor for Angela Lee, I'm going to say, is going to be her speed and her kicks. Those are going to be the two things that stand out for me in this fight. Let's get into the prediction. Now, this fight is a fun one. And it's fun because there's no way this fight goes to the ground. I don't think Zhang will take this fight down. I think she'll be quite happy to stand up and strike with the smaller woman who probably just doesn't hit hard as she's used to. And I don't think Angela Lee will have the tools to take Zhang down. I don't think that she's strong enough, and I don't think her wrestling is technical enough to get Zhang down. So that makes her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu kind of mute in this, and this is a stand-up fight. On the feet, I think that they're not that dissimilar when it comes to technique. I think Angela Lee is actually very underrated when it comes to her stand-up. She's got good crisp boxing, she's got good movement, and she's got good kicks. The problem is Angela Lee doesn't hit hard enough to be able to get Zhang's respect, and I think Zhang will be able to not only block a lot of those shots but eat those shots no problem. But I don't think Angela Lee will be able to return the favor. I don't think Angela Lee can return the shots by eating Zhang's strikes. I think when Zhang hits Angela Lee, Zhang will know. If you look at Jessica Andrade, and Jessica Andrade, a tank of a woman, was stopped by Zhang, you gotta wonder what those shots would do to someone like Angela Lee, who hasn't fought at 135, who isn't a 125er, who isn't a 115er even. She would have to eat those shots and she would suffer. And I think on the base of that, maybe we'll have a competitive one round, but as the damage starts to wear in round 2, 3, 4, I think Zhang is going to start to establish a clear distance and advantage in this fight, especially when the damage starts to accumulate. And I think we're going to be looking at around 4 or 5 stoppage win for Zhang. So fight fans, for my official prediction in this fight, I would go with Zhang to get a stoppage in the 4th or 5th round after a very hard fought first couple of rounds. Angela Lee's a warrior, and I have no doubt she'll be there till the end. But there's only so much you can take, and size and strength does matter, which is why there is weight classes. Now, I love the one championship principle of the way that they do weight. I rate it the most, but you have to be honest. Zhang for the win here, guys. Anyways, guys, why don't you guys comment below? Let me know how you see this fight going. Let me know if this is a fight that you would want to see, and if, like me, you're an advocate of cross promotions and mixed martial arts. And if you are, why don't you comment below with some of the greatest cross promotional fights that you wish you could have seen, or in the future wish you will see. I'll start the ball. Douglas Lima versus Kamaru Usman. I think that's an incredible fight. Let's match them guys up. Anyways, guys, comment below. Let me know if you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, guys. As always, I'm Rohan, and this is Mind for Combat.